Latest polling by 538 shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading former President Donald Trump 52% to 48% nationally. Longtime pollster Frank Luntz shared his insights on why Trump is behind. Let's watch.
There are issues, attributes, and the conditions of the country. The issues and conditions favor Donald Trump. He should be winning this election. But the attributes are so much in Harris's favor that he's not. That the very attributes that Trump offers, and the best example, you did the story on the UAW, why is Donald Trump saying publicly, I want to fire the same people that he's getting now, still getting, union members? It's ridiculous. It's as though he's lost control. And I know that there are billionaires who watch this show who are spending a lot of money on Donald Trump, and they don't understand why he's committing political suicide.
What can he do? Are these problems fixable? It sounds like the reason why women or undecided women are now deciding to vote for Kamala Harris, those are things that cannot be fixed.
Yes. So there are three issues. Number one is affordability. We should not call it inflation ever again. It's housing, health care, food, and fuel. And the people that Trump needs cannot afford it either every week or every month. Second, wasteful Washington spending, which you're not talking about anywhere. This was an issue over the last 8 years. Hardworking taxpayers hate it when they see their money being wasted. And third, it's not just immigration, it's safety and security.
Meanwhile, Trump held a rally yesterday in North Carolina where he spent a lot of time attacking Harris and accused her of copying him. Let's watch.
When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan because basically that's what she does. Just remember, she goes to work every morning in the West Wing. Her desk is 10 steps from the Oval Office. She cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us record inflation, and for nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned. What happened to her laugh? I haven't heard that laugh in about a week. That's why they keep her off the stage. That's why she's disappeared.
Trump will hold a press conference in Bedminster, New Jersey today, all while Harris continues to face criticism for seemingly avoiding interviews entirely. Harris's communications director was pressed by CNN as to why she wasn't speaking outside of her rallies. Let's watch.
But the Trump campaign is also going after the vice president for not doing enough interviews, for not holding a press conference. Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
Listen, the vice president and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country since the launch of this campaign and adding Governor Walz to the ticket. You saw the ways in which they went across the battleground states last week, generating rallies of thousands, 10,000 here, 15,000 there. But
Michael, you know, a campaign rally is not a press conference.
It's going to be inclusive.
Do you mind if I cut in? I mean, you know, a campaign rally is not a press conference. Why hasn't she had a press conference? She's the vice president. She can handle the questions. Why not do it?
We absolutely are going to do it. You hear her take questions as she's out on the stump. And she said last week, we're going to be having a sit-down interview here before the end of the month.
And in VP news, Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz have both agreed to a debate hosted by CBS on October 1st. Exciting.
I think yes, that is exciting. I wish it was October 31st and they would come in costume because that would be fun, but I don't think we're going to see that. I'm very much looking forward to watching those two go head to head. I asked my mom, who's very representative of like the average voter, no college degree, spent most of her life like not super engaged in politics and kind of sick of the way, you know, the country was being run, especially economically. And I was like, what do you make of this attack line? Do you think Kamala Harris needs to talk to the media? She was like, well, she's doing rallies like every day. She's delivering her message directly to the people. Why do you guys want her to sit down? Because you're the media and you'll get views from it? And I was like, okay, that's interesting that this is, you know, kind of what the average working class person is thinking about this. Because that's kind of how I think about it too, right? She just started running. She's going to deliver her message a bunch so people hear it. That's a strategy because if they hear her say something so many times, when she sits down with a reporter and they say something to the opposite effect, it's going to be a little bit easier to hear her argument out, and believe that to be reality after you've heard it from her quite a few times. You're like, yeah, that sounds about right. Whereas if she did a sit-down interview right away and she let the reporter say, this is the political landscape, this is what's going on, this is what people think of you, that has a little bit more sticking power. So I think they're trying to get a message to the people first, get it in their brains before, the media changes it.
Yeah, I think there's something to what Frank Luntz was saying about many of the fundamentals favoring the Republicans on paper and thus Trump, but Trump being someone who can only capitalize on the fundamentals so much because he is, and this is hard for a lot of his devoted fans to hear because they love him so much. They can't imagine anyone not loving him, but they are not the entire country. There's a lot of them. There's certainly enough of them to have Trump be in charge of the Republican Party for as long as he conceivably wants to be. But outside that bubble, you have a lot of skepticism of Trump. A lot of people just sick of him, tired of him, don't think the things he says are divisive and bad for the country, and they want Republican policies, or at least they think Democratic policies have not succeeded over the period of the Joe Biden presidency, but can't necessarily, are deciding whether they can bring themselves to support Trump. And then, in bringing J.D. Vance onto the ticket, I don't think Trump didn't really reach for those people and say, hey, you can get on board with me. He picked someone who is very much like him, if not exactly temperamentally like him, but very much ideologically like him, and then some. And so we'll see. But Kamala Harris is almost doing very well for herself by not saying very much of anything. I mean, this is going to be very frustrating to me if this ends up being the winning strategy, to not participate in a Democratic primary process at all, not have done any debates with other Democratic candidates, not have staked out any real policy positions, and have signaled via spokespeople that you no longer stand by any of the policy positions that you once had that might be unpopular somewhere, and never give an interview and just win because you're a question mark.
Mm-hmm. A few things
I don't know what that'll say about our system if that works.
I like that Frank Luntz highlighted affordability instead of inflation, because we're seeing inflation slow, and people feel lied to when they hear that. Because purchasing power has not returned to what people expect. The minimum wage is worth 34% less in terms of purchasing power, what you can get for those dollars, since 1968. And so focusing on food, fuel, housing, and healthcare, it makes sense. And I like that he's not talking about government spending in Washington in terms of what amount of dollars give people sticker shock. It's where is their waste happening? That's what people want to be addressed. It's not that they don't want the government to spend anything. They want the government spending to be efficient and be returns to them.
100%.
And I think that's important to highlight. But I do find it terribly funny in Trump's speech that he says Kamala, who he has framed as a radical left communist, as someone who will copy his plan.
Yeah.
That just, those two things cannot be true.
She did copy his plan on the no taxing of the tips, right? I mean, it's a pretty direct copying.
That is true. Just like,
she looked over to his, what's on your homework? What's on your quiz?
Yeah.
She did one of those.
We can do that. It neutralizes the threat, but we're expecting her to roll out some kind of plan to address affordability today.
As I said, I want both the candidates to compete to cut taxes as much as possible. So I have no problem with her copying his quiz on that front. More Rising in just a minute.